First thing I'm going to preface is I'm very sorry if the footage here is going to look really, really bad. I do not have a particular capture card for the tablet. I didn't know where to get one as soon as possible, and it was happening so fast. This is the best I got. I was recording my webcam through Discord because I was also talking to some group of people who were helping me through some stuff while I was experiencing that. So I'm sorry things are going to look really glaring, terrible. You're barely going to even see what I'm even doing. I get that. But it's the only footage I have to kind of just put as a backdrop since I don't have direct footage. But to get that out of the way, so this video is going to be very much different. At least to myself, because this is not a review. This is not scripted. This is not going to be professionally edited. It's not going to have a lot of stuff. But I wanted to talk about my opinions, my experiences, and my feelings playing through Arcaea. Now, Arcaea was a game that I knew about for a while, and I only started really playing it around like the last half of 2022, because I was first dabbling in a bunch of other stuff like Rotanio first, and then a Paradigm Reboot when that came out, and Kalpa. But I decided to give Arcaea a try. I already knew going in my issues that I personally had with Arcaea and other aspects to it, but I still wanted to give it my honest try. And I'm still in this weird ground with Arcaea, where I do have a good time with it now since I got a tablet. When I first started playing it, I was playing it on my phone because at the time that was all I had. I only just got the tablet last year in September 2023 because everyone was telling me that would make things a world different. But when I was trying to play Arcaea on my phone, I was struggling with the arcs, I was struggling with the sky notes, and I could barely pass 6s and 7s because of that. Because most of the time I was obviously holding my phone with my two hands and not laying it on the desk, because if I try to, the phone slides around. So I will admit that getting the tablet has absolutely made my experience with Arcaea a lot more nicer since then. I've been able to handle 7s, 8s, and 9s a lot more better, especially from when I got to Luminous Skies and Vicious Labyrinth, when I had to deal with those boss songs. I've gotten a lot better since those. It did take me a while because I think I only started getting to those songs. I want to say June of last year, but only recently I started like just going through all of the storylines and everything like that. And if it wasn't for the server I was a part of in relation to a YouTuber I like watching, that his name is Jack, or their channel is Loserman Wins. If it wasn't for the community people in there that were helping me through this, as well as Jack himself, I don't think I would have experienced this as much as it was. Mostly because of the fact, as I will get to from just explaining and personal opinions, I get the concept of what Arcaea was doing, because I mean it's not that Arcaea was the first to do it. I know a lot of other arcade games over time have done stuff where there's like secret unlocks or secret objectives to access things. But I feel like the way that Arcaea handled this, for me, was not a fun time. I get that maybe if I was playing this game the day it came out and with a community people, maybe it would have been a whole different aspects. But there was a lot of things to this that confused me. And maybe it's partially my fault that I was not tackling this game the way the game wanted me to, which definitely happens a lot, and I admit that. Me being autistic and my own issues with things, that doesn't happen with a lot of games. But playing this game after the final verdict update, which I think was almost 2 years ago, and going into this game with so much content, so much stuff out of the gate, I have a different sort of feeling against it. Now, this is not against the developers. They did a beautiful job with what they were trying to do, especially with the storytelling. I will not go into the storytelling specifically. I will not try to spoil exactly what happens in the storytelling. I'm mostly just going to talk about mechanicals and songs and experiences that I have. I will try to keep world mode talk to a minimum unless I have to, mostly because of the fact that I also have a massive opinion about world mode in a different degree. So to start out with the story mode, the first pack you get is called Eternal Core. And the characters that you have is Hikari, and I believe you pronounce her name as um, Tairitsu. Hikari and Tairitsu. Those are the two characters you start with. Hikari is apparently the person you start with in the beginning because they have what is called an easy gauge, where um, your recollection doesn't go as heavily punished on Mit's notes, not Ark's notes. While Tataritsu doesn't have anything, it's just how the normal gauge is experienced. It kind of makes me think of like easy gauge in 2DX or something like that. Different, not the same thing, but it's just what my mind go to it. And when you get Eternal Core, it will ask you to say, play this song with the corresponding character. And the first pack, the songs it gets you, a lot of them I thought were pretty fun for what they were. A lot of the stuff in the beginning, I thought they were just there. But when you got to some of the higher stuff that you had to play, Luminum, Essence of Twilight, Pragmatism, Shirayuth, those are all, I think, incredible songs. Nothing gets the rest that were listed. Like Relentless is still fun. Memory Factory, Cry of Viella, but a lot of the other ones that you had to play to continue the story a little bit more, I thought were a lot more interesting and a lot more fun, especially because Pragmatism was my first 8 that I cleared on my phone. And I felt very proud about that for a while until obviously now I can almost full recall that song and everything. But for the first pack and a lot of the story startups, I kind of already had a guess about how things were going to go, and that's fine. Like, just because I can figure it out does not change the experience of what they were giving. The artwork is very beautiful when they give it to us. So for the first pack, it's a good taste, a good start, and I think it works well for what they were giving. I obviously do not know what songs that they released over time. I just know that the default songs were kind of meh to me, but I try not to judge a game too heavily in that regard because, it's starting up, it's a new company a lot of the times, and trying to get licensing usually does not work very well. So in the beginning, you usually have songs that are kind of just middling to Paradigm has that, Rotanio kind of has that, but it varies to a different degree. But for Eternal Core, I thought it was a pretty good start, a pretty good jump start to like how the game feels and everything like that, and how the game wants you to do storytelling. Because I have not done a lot of storytelling rhythm games before. Rotania was kind of the first I've ever got to engage with, and Kalpa is okay. Paradigm was I can't even say that word seriously. Paradigm's story was interesting at the start, but the last 2 chapters have been kind of awkward, I can say. But Arcaea, it works for what it is. You play a song with a character, you get a story page. That's pretty much it. Next is Vicious Labyrinth, which definitely has a lot of songs that I've enjoyed the most, especially the boss song that was here. Now, at the time, I didn't know which was released first, and if I remember correctly, I think this is the one that was released first. I know this is stuff I should have written down before I started recording. Yes, it was part of the 1.5 update. So this came out first, but when I started to knock out the stories, my experience with one of the boss songs was in Luminous Sky. So just want to make that said for a moment. But in Vicious Labyrinth, a lot of the songs here I thought were very, very beautiful. Axiom Crisis was my favorite out of this until I got to the boss song. Now, this is where part of my issues with this game came from. Now, I understand at the time that this would have been a understandable thing to experiment with. But for me, I didn't think so because of how much was added to the game. So there was a boss song within the pack. It does not give you the name of the song. It doesn't tell you anything else. But only thing you know is as you're doing the story, there's a moment in the story where it branches off to the right, and that it asks you to play a song using a different character. At that point, you have to go into world mode and unlock Axiom Tairitsu. Then play the song with them, and then you get a story page out of it. Now, one of the things that the game does not tell you, but it's something that is, well, obviously it's supposed to not tell you because it makes sense as an anomaly, but basically it kind of expects you to read the storyline and kind of infer something with it. And you basically have to play Axiom Crisis with Axiom Tairitsu selected as your character. And in the middle of the song, the game will do an anomaly where everything gets all glitchy and everything, random notes start to appear, and then immediately throws you into the boss song, Grievous Lady. My personal opinion, that was my favorite boss song to play. That song is incredible. It was difficult for me at the time. I definitely can almost full clear that if I really, really want to try hard. But that song was incredible. It was fun. It was great. And once you do that, that's how you unlock the continuation in the story, because you have to do that to continue on. Because when you try to continue, it just says you have to. I forget what it is, but there's a lightning bolt on it with an exclamation mark, and it says like you have to change fate or something like that. That probably is not the correct term, but that's what I remembered. And that's how you finish that up. Unlock Grievous Lady. Cool. That's awesome. The only minor complaint that I have, at least I do not know if it does this, but if for whatever reason I want to unlock Grievous Lady in the pass directive, which I think is a 6, I have to do Axiom Crisis on pass with Axiom Tie to do it again. I don't understand why it's not an automatic unlock below. Every other game I have played has done that. And it's weird to me to not do that here. Now, I understand people could argue, well, if you already have the 9, you're already good enough to not need the 6. True. But sometimes I think about what if someone wants to play the game. I don't mind someone using my account to maybe try it out or whatever until they get their own account. I like having stuff unlocked, so I know it's minor and it's not a huge complaint to really bring up, but it's something I just thought was very strange to do, at least to me. And then Luminous Sky came out next, which, besides 2 songs before the boss songs, I didn't really care for a lot of this here. Maze Number 9 and Ether Strike are like the ones that I take with me. I always pronounce this wrong. I think it's supposed to be Halcyon is a classic, but I feel like charting-wise, I'm not a fan of how it's charted in Arcaea. It's nice in other games, but in Arcaea, I wasn't a fan of how it was charted and whatnot. But with Luminous Sky, same sort of thing. You get stuck in the middle of the story, you get branched off, and then you have to unlock Hikari 0 in world mode to get a branch story. And then you have to play Ether Strike with Hikari 0. Now, this is a personal little vent off, but with how much Fractal Ray, the boss song of Luminous Sky, gave me, I almost flippantly despised Ether Strike because of this. Because while Axiom Crisis, the anomaly kicks off in the middle of the song, in Ether Strike, it doesn't kick off until the end of the song. And I'm not a fan of that, especially with how often I kept instantly failing out of Fractal Ray because of the intros to the arcs. And arcs are just the bane of me, especially with how they're set up in that 9. So it really sucks to almost have to waste 2 minutes of your time to get the anomaly of Fractal Ray, only to fail out. It frustrated me just to get the pity unlock. But yeah, So you get Fractal Ray, and then you do the thing, and that's how you get it unlocked. Which goes in that story. I did Fractal Ray first, like I said, and that gave me so much frustration. And so when I got to Grievous Lady and how fast I cleared that and unlocked it, I was like, okay, that's a lot nicer. It still pisses me off about Fractal Ray. I understand maybe at the time period it was an interesting situation, especially for an unlock. I give credit to that because it makes me think of just like a lot of other games I've heard over time about it. But it absolutely just bothered me because I never thought about doing world mode because of how much that annoyed me. And the fact that it expects you to use a character on a song was not something I ever thought about because it never felt like the game wanted. I never felt like that was something to engage with because there was so much. So it's one of those things where I feel like because I'm coming into this game with so many updates afterwards, I don't know any other people that figured that out without having someone tell them. And it's obviously really hard to tell which is the case because most people are going to just look up a guide 100% most of the time. Then there's Adverse Prelude, which I feel like was kind of just there as just something to release content wise, because obviously they had side packs released over time and more stuff to world mode. And Adverse Prelude was pretty good. Ring Genesis I thought was great. Particle Arts is great. Vindication. But there was no boss songs, I believe, added to that. I don't remember if they added any characters. It added more story and more context to things, which I'm not going to get into, obviously. And I thought it was kind of a nice little soft bridge gap after the two packs like that. Because, I mean, they're both with the big anomalies and boss songs. I can understand, that's a lot of work. Let's take a break and release this one. So it was nice as a break and lead up. And then the biggest pack at the time before Final Verdict is Black Fate. I had a fun time with Black Fate. I actually started getting invested in the story and trying to parse exactly what is being written and what is being told. And a lot of these songs here I thought were so much fun. Equilibrium, Antagonism, Lost Desire, Dandelion, Number 1 FLE33. All so much fun songs, and I had a lot of fun passing these songs. First time, hard clear, almost full clear on most of these things. But then the boss song came around. And I found out that this is a convoluted one. This is not a just, unlock a character and do this thing sort of situation. You had to do 4 different missions. I don't remember exactly what the missions were entirely. I just remember one of them was to clear the number 1 FLE33 song. I think one of them was to get like a 300 combo on it. I think for Dandelion. One of the songs, I think I had to get a score on it like 4 times or something. I think I had to get like a double A on it. But then the last one was to play, I think it was Equilibrium, Antagonism, and Dandelion in that order. And that's how you unlock the song. Then you play the song like you normally do. You have a hard gauge on it, and you pass it to unlock the song. Okay, cool, awesome. You cleared the song, you get the unlock. Congratulations. And now comes the thing that I'm just confused as hell how the hell you figure this out. Granted, someone can probably make comments or post it how people figured it out. But you're not done yet. Once you get Tempest Timiso, I'm bad at pronouncing, I'm just going to call it Tempest. Once you unlock that song, you're not done yet. Because then you have to do an anomaly on that song. And to do the anomaly, you need to get Fracture Hikari unlocked. Then you have to do the song with Fracture Hikari, and you have to make sure your fragments, the last 2 digits, are the same number. So either 1 1, 2 2, 3 3. I don't know how you figure this out. That bothered me. Like, I felt proud when I unlock Tempest myself without looking up a guide. I just did stuff and figured it out. The one where you play 3 songs in a row was total by accident. That was funny. But this one was where I started going, how the fuck do you figure this out? Like, I understand there's a community of people, and obviously everyone's on forums and be like, oh shit, this happened to me. But this is the weirdest thing to me. Play as a character with your fragments the same numbers, and then it triggers. But not only that, and I don't know. I don't think there's anything they can do to make this quote unquote easier, and I don't think anyone is going wants this to be done. But as someone who is currently playing on, I believe the term is present, which is the green tab, mostly going through 6, 7s, and 9s. My average is 7 to 9s. When you hit the anomaly on Tempest, you have to play the second half on the future 10 plus. And I gave it a real shot. I won't lie. I didn't just give up day one when I saw that. I was like, I know it's not in my purview, but I'm going to give it my honest shot. And I got pretty far into it. I always failed after like 7 seconds. But the fact that I had to force myself to do the past 6, to do the anomaly, to unlock the world mode, to get Tempest Tairitsu, and you have to do all of this to even access Final Verdict, I think was kind of rude. I understand there's a story reason for it. There's an explanation as to why it leads up to it. It's the same thing why Hikari Zero exists in the side story and so on and so forth. I understand the context, but as a player, that is rude. Because I imagine, what if there's a bunch of people who only play on the past difficulties, which is 1s to 6s? They would be stuck on Black Fate for a long-ass time. I understand the discussion would be, yes, but they might get better to the point where they can handle the 9 and pass it just fine. Possibly. But I just feel you should never do that to a person. Don't throw them at a higher difficulty chart and force them to unlock it like that. That's just me. I know a lot of fans of Arcaea might hear this part if they're watching this and be upset with me by saying it, but I was not a fan of that. I'm just not. But I did get through it, and it was really fun story-wise to get to that, which finally got me to Final Verdict. This is where I think on different levels, I have so many different, because on one side, I think this was cool as shit with how everything's set up, leading up to the unlocks, how they handle things too. Because up to this point, they just had songs show you. Like, when you pull the anomalies for Grievous Lady and Fractal Ray, it does the same animation as if you're loading into a song. But for Final Verdict, they went the whole route similar to like how they reveal boss songs. And as someone who played Sound Voltex, 2DX, Chrono Circle, my mind's blanking. Even Paradigm Reboot, Retanio, they usually have like this video thing go off and then reveals the song to you. I mean, if you look at a lot of Sound Voltex KSC's events, it's kind of like that. The fact that they did that for every song during Axiom of the End definitely caught me the fuck off guard, and that was incredible of an experience. The unlocks, though, were definitely something else. Now, I was told by some people that the unlocks that you have to do for Final Verdict, which is one at a time, although one at a time until you get to the last 2 before the 5th one, if I'm explaining that right, was that the clues that it gave me when I saw them were not what people saw when Final Verdict first came out, which meant that a lot of people kind of just had to throw shit at the wall until the text popped up, and it made me realize that this game was meant to be a community effort, which is complicated. because obviously if you're playing this day it came out, it makes sense that the clues would be a community effort, and it makes me happy that the update later that they added the text there. But some of those were definitely weird as hell. Fun, but weird. Um, I tried my genuine best to figure these out on my own, but with how my brain goes, I tend to overthink stuff. I try to overanalyze the words and progressions. And if it wasn't for the people in the server at the time I was handling this, I probably would have been lost. But they were able to narrow down to key stuff. They were able to help narrow down some of which I was able to figure that out thanks to them. Some of them I had to have them tell me. But that was an interesting experience because of the text leading up to the songs, leading up to the story. Final Verdict is definitely one of those experiences that, like, I definitely think is good for this game, especially for the story. But I'm also mixed because some of those solutions were just like, how the fuck? I mean, one of them you literally had to play a song, and before the song even officially ends, you had to quit. That's what I like. I kind of figured it out, but I didn't understand that exactly how that worked. But just little things like that. But we had songs like Infinite Strike, World Ender, Pendiment, and Arcana Eden. All actually really, really cool songs with a fucking reveal on one of them. Or actually, no, two. I think two or three of them did this to you. Um, with how the game plays, it's 4 keys with the arcs. I don't remember which songs does it. I think it's World Ender and Pendiment, but they throw in 6 keys at you. That was definitely something. And I am impressed by that experience. That is for damn sure. And leading up to Testify, which throws the message of once you do this, you can never go back. This was an experience, and it may not be as deep, but but like some of this reminds me of when I was officially going through Hexadiver on Sound Voltex. Because I've never I heard about it, but it wasn't until we got a vault cab that I was able to experience those unlocks, and they're pretty straightforward. You play a song, you choose a shield. Depending on how heavy the shield is, depends on how bad your gauge goes. If you pass the song with the gauge, you can either unlock the song in one go if you're a 5, or take it in two if take it in 2 shots if you do it at 3 shields or something. But this is a whole nother level, and seriously, claps and hats off to the developers, because as much as it frustrated me with trying to unlock them, that was definitely just amazing, definitely awesome. It just sucks that trying to get to Final Verdict is locked behind something that can be unfair, in my opinion. And then afterwards, they did an update which released other songs and other unlocks, which are just insane to me. And again, part of me goes, how the fuck are you supposed to figure this out? But on the other side, I can't deny that as a community of people who probably have been playing this game since the day it came out, that this is not a surprise. And I generally thought this was fun. And so I really got to give props where props is due, but I definitely agree with a lot of people with the fact that some of this stuff today, as new players try to get in, can be very intimidating and very frustrating with how much it locks you behind stuff. And I understand why Final Verdict is blocked behind Black Fate. There is a story reason for it, and I understand why that is that way. I just also feel it can be very, very brutally unfair for a lot of people. And just goodness is all I can say. But in terms of just the main story experience, this was definitely a lot of fun. I still loved Rotanio a lot, but Rotanio was also only a year old, almost going to be 2 years old in May, while Arcaea has been out for like 7 years. So it just makes me question, like, a lot of these new games that I'm experiencing, like Paradigm, like Kalpa, like Rutanio. It makes me wonder, like, what those games can turn into over time after Experience Arcaea after 7 years of production. Not only that, I have no idea if they're going to release another story pack or whatever, or what they're going to do next. Because the way Final Verdict ends, it feels like there's no reason to continue. And if they do find the reason, I hope it's fascinating enough with everything else they led up to this point. Now, the one thing I've not experienced, to put that out, is I don't have all the side story packs, and I've not experienced all of them. I don't have everything unlocked through the world mode because that is painful as shit, and I'm not a fan. But it's, you know, I guess it makes sense that if you're new to the game, you have a lot of content to work on. It's just a lot. But overall, it's fun. And once I got the groove of things using my tablet, things got a lot nicer in different ways, and I I don't know what else to add from that, but I wanted, like, again, this is not necessarily me trying to give a review. It's not even scripted. It's me just talking. Like, some of this might be just incoherent mess, but that's the nature of me. But overall, I really am happy that I got to experience this game as little as I knew, because I didn't know anything about this stuff or the story. And I know this one channel that I listened to called Corner Cab, they talked about how there was an ARG, I think it was either before Final Verdict or Black Fate, where they basically said you had to be there. Like, the experience, you had to be there to experience what that was. And, like, it's one of those things where it kind of sucks that I wasn't playing this game to experience that or understand it. But I always love hearing the joy that a lot of these games can bring in certain cases. And it's always funny to me how rhythm games can do something as deep as this, because most people just play rhythm games because they like rhythm games, which is kind of like me. But when you are able to grasp me on something very nicely, I'm going to have a fun time. But I just wanted to record a video of my experience and everything like that, because it was it was a fun time for me. Like, besides the frustration that was with Fractal Ray and some of the solutions to stuff, when I got to Final Verdict and got through the end of that, that was definitely just a beautiful ride. And I think I spent almost 4 or 5 hours talking to these people in Discord who was helping me and watching me go through it, and the reactions were just so wonderful. But yeah, I just basically all I wanted to say, because it's been gnawing at my mind since I finished it like 2 weeks ago, I think, as of the time of this recording. But either way, that's basically the end of this. I I definitely see how much better production, as well as the licensings and original songs that came with Arcaea. And the artwork I still think is absolutely beautiful and standing. And even though I don't have all the characters or all the unlocks, I already have a character that I really enjoy from doing its side story, which was from Esoteric Order, I think is what the pack called. Although the funniest thing to me was when I was reading the story, and I'm gonna put it on screen, but when I was reading the story, this is the most funniest reaction that I used as out of context. But it was definitely really fucking funny reading that story. But that side story was actually really really good. But I also just like the character design. But with that, I think I can end the video. I've been almost spouting for 35 minutes. So with that, thank you so much for listening to this and watching it. I hope everyone has a great day. If this sounds interesting to you to play Arcaea, by all means. If you're someone who plays Arcaea already, uh, enjoy commenting down below. I expect some anger comments, maybe. I don't know. Um, maybe just some disagreement comments, but that's the nature of internet. Everyone's different, and that's fine. But with that, I'm going to end this video. You guys have a wonderful day and take care. Thank you for much. Words. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I thought it only did it on Future and Beyond, but nope. Every difficulty.
What the fuck was that?
It was 6 key. What's the problem?
That is hilarious. Oh my
That's
god.
that's Pentiment. It is the
Oh my god.
it is, in my opinion, the third hardest song in the game. Hello and goodbye.
Oh my god.